Shalom and good day all, this is Tehillim29 back again for another Fool's Gold review. And this time I'll be reviewing Checkmate and Justice League, both by Brian Michael Bendis. I will not be covering the backstory, which is in Justice League. I'll be directly reviewing the Justice League story itself by Brian Michael Bendis. And the same in relation to the Checkmate story, which is basically it's on its own. So, to those who are new to the channel and don't understand how Fool's Gold works, as you can see, I rate the cover, the art, and the story. The total there is linked to the currency conversion, to what the currency conversion translates to in Australian dollars. So, for Justice League, it is $4.99, making it $8.95 Australian, and $3.99, making it $7.15 Australian. And I also point out how much I do think the stories are worth. So, time to get to it, and to begin on Checkmate. Now, jumping right in, and starting off with the cover, does this cover in any way, shape or form indicate something that is actually connected to the story? In some part, it actually does, and it's really good to see that. And it's also nice to see the cast of characters who are involved in the story, all minus a couple which you'll see in story. No, it wouldn't have hurt to include them in the cover. And yes, I'm talking about Damian Wayne and Talia al Ghul. So for this cover, I gave it a 6 out of 10, to which I believe it's worth $1.25. So how's Bendis going there at getting that $7.15 back, which I paid for this? Presently, not very well. So let's move into the internal art, to which I'll show you stuff around the beginning, middle and the end. Now this is some of the art around the beginning. I'll now move towards the middle. This is a splash page having to do with the middle here. I do enjoy one thing having to do with this, in relation to especially Damian, is that we do get to see him in his Rebirth Super Sons costume. That is one thing I will sort of like give a positive and thanks to Brian Michael Bendis to, in actually bringing this costume back in this particular story run. And now towards the end. And finally towards the end. The art, I must admit, is way better than what the first one was in Event Leviathan. It does look like it's cleaned up a little bit more, where in the last, in Event Leviathan with Alex Maleev, it just came off as gritty and dirty, where this, it actually feels like it's made an improvement. And my rating for the art, I've given a 7 out of 10, to which I believe it's worth $1.50. Now, moving into the story. Now, to those who don't know, I can be a little bit of a harsh critic when it comes to the story. And I have like 4 key points to which I like to see also within a story. Such as, does this story cover actual times? Such as, does it point out when these events take place? And starting off with the first one, yes it does. And I'm really impressed. Brian Michael Bendis seemed to make an improvement here. Where in the last, in Event Leviathan, this thing was a disaster. I really want to point it out. This thing was a disaster. So in the time that was pointed out, and this is going in the order that appeared within the comic. It started off as 2 years ago, so we got a bit of a flashback. Then we got weeks ago. It wasn't very clear as to how many weeks ago it was meant to be happening. It would not hurt to clear that up a bit, especially for the reader. Even if you made it say for example 2 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, or just 1 week ago, or 3 weeks ago, just something that makes it a little bit more clearer to the reader as to when this event is taking place. Of course, we had the today, which occurred to when things were happening in regards to a meetup. The weeks ago, again, not very clear as to the length of weeks when it should be clear. And of course, the present being the now, which was towards the end of the story. Which was really okay. It wasn't top tier, but it helped set a bit of a format as to what happened in the last time that we encountered sort of like the event Leviathan BS. Moving into comic references. This is the next thing. Were there any comic references? Should there have been any comic references? Yes, there should have been some comic references. Even if it was, say, a comic reference to the event Leviathan comic run itself, it would not have hurt. I think it would have helped the story. And especially for a new reader, should they decide to pick this up and they might not know of Event Leviathan, it would help if the reader had that information presented to them within the story. You could have even made reference to some of... That's right. The Leviathan Rising run in, I think it was either in Action... Yeah, it was in Action Comics, I believe, by Brian Michael Bendis. Moving into locations, which is the next thing that I like to see and enjoy in my comics. What locations did we get to see? Now, we got to see the League of Assassins. We also had the League of Assassins Hidden Fortress in Nepal, which was really good. I liked how descriptive that was and was shown. So that was a positive. We, of course, encountered Star City, Metropolis. We also went to the Checkmate HQ, the Leviathan headquarters in Markovia, and of course, last but not least, the Daily Planet. I was really impressed with this, and keep this up because it is making for a good story. But whether it will help to improve in regards to the story raising, I don't know yet. In that, I'll have to wait until further issues come out for the review. Moving into the last thing, which is very important. Do we get to see who the cast of characters are? Yes, we do. In the story, we encountered Mark Shaw and Talia, and that happened at the League of Assassins headquarters. And that was also shown in that flashback. Then we had Talia al Ghul end up meeting up with Damian Wayne, which happened in Star City. Then we eventually moved into Manhunter King, Steve Trevor, Bones, Green Arrow, and Lois Lane, and also Agent Nakamura towards the end. This, I did feel that it improved a little bit more in regards to seeing more of the cast of characters and knowing who the cast of characters were. It was nice to see, well, Damien felt a little bit too chirpy around his mother. No pun intended, because he's also Robert in this. Now, I'd imagine he'd have... it did feel a little bit out of character because of how Damien's mother has also treated him in the past. And he's basically been taught to be a tool for her and the League of Assassins and Leviathan. And even some of her parts felt a little bit out of character. But overall, moving into the story rating, what did I give the story rating? Well, I gave this story a rating of 5.5 out of 10. It's an improvement from the first series of Event Leviathan, to which I believe it's worth $1.10, giving the overall total of $3.85. Now it's time to move into Justice League. Alright, as we move into Justice League by Brian Michael Bendis, starting off with first things first, how does the cover rate? Well, surprisingly, I gave the cover a 7 out of 10, as I felt in some part that it did actually work in relation to the story. Moving directly into the art, because I don't want this video to go too long. So starting off with art around the beginning, then moving into the middle and the end. Now, this is some of the art around the beginning of the story. I must admit, it's really nice. This art. And I also want to include that it's also been pretty consistent. This is some of the art around the middle, and I'll quickly move towards the end. And this is the art around the end. I must admit, it is really incredible. I like what the artist has done here. He's brought out some really nice features on a number of these superheroes, including the introduction of Hippolyta for this Justice League, to which I gave the art a 7 out of 10, to which I believe it's worth $1.50, which brings the total for the art presently to $3. So, slightly speeding things up a bit here, moving into the story rating. Now, as I covered before, references, time, location, and cast. Let's see what was there and let's see what wasn't. So starting off with references for this one this time around. 0 references, though it wouldn't hurt to include them. Time. We still got no idea when this takes place. What time of day it takes place. Location. Well, in technicality, we've got more than one location, but we still don't know the name of the fucking home world of Naomi. This is useless to us, the reader. Right? You want us to learn about Naomi? You should at least let us know the home world of Naomi. Naomi sucks because of this now. Alright, moving into the next thing. And yes, I did have to get a little bit colourful there. Did we at least get the cast of characters? Surprisingly, we did. And this was really good. In the cast of characters, we of course had Naomi, we had Black Canary, which was at the beginning. We also encountered Calyx, but I'm also wondering, how the fuck can Calyx be in friggin' 2 or 3 places at once? Because we have Calyx appearing in Justice League, we have Calyx appearing in both the Superman and Action Comics run. Is there anywhere else that I have to point out? Like, even though Calyx key location to where he works is in the Fortress of Solitude, for Superman, is Calyx carrying a teleporter that we don't fucking know about? Alright, moving to the next. Flash, who also helped the rest of the characters escape Naomi's homeworld. Of course, we had Hawkgirl, Black Adam, Green Arrow, Aquaman, Superman, Hippolyta, Zimbardo, who made his appearance again to fight against the Justice League, Batman, and McMurphy, who again is connected to both Zimbardo and Brutus. And you can sort of see in this that Zimbardo is not happy with McMurphy, but wants McMurphy to pretty much slave for him with the technology that she seems to be good at. And Brutus, well, he got a bit of an ass whooping from Zimbardo. Well, where does this leave the story rating? The story rating got a 4 out of 10, to which I believe it was worth 75 cents. Maybe I should have marked it lower, which gives the overall total of $3.75. And I am highly disappointed with a lot of this in regards to Justice League. If you really want to pick up some brilliant Brian Bendis stuff to actually read, go check out his Jinx World Powers run. That is the first place I recommend. Next is the United States versus Murder Inc. And the Murder Inc. Titles. He is meant to have Murder Inc. versus the Vatican come out soon, and I'm still waiting to hear when that will come out, because I would love to review that. Also check out Cover by Brian Michael Bendis. That's about pretty much all of Brian Michael Bendis that I can recommend right now. Well, until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.